Configuring your own area label styles gives you control over what information is labeled at the centers of your parcels. In addition, you're also given control over how the text is formatted and arranged. Let's see how this is done. As we had in the previous video, we've got some examples in this drawing that show us how single-family lots, right-of-ways, open space lots, and adjoiners are labeled. Now, right-of-way lots aren't labeled at all, so you can see that that's blank. But if we take a look at single family first, we can see that there's a lot number with a circle around it. So let's create an area label style that matches this. Not just the circle and the number, but also the text style, the size of the text, the size of the circle, and so on. So just to use the example as a guide, what are some of these sizes and styles that are currently in use? Let's start with the text. If I click on the text and right-click and pick Properties, we can see some information about this text. Specifically, I'm looking for its style and height. Notice the style is called Arial, and the height is 7.5 feet in this case. Now we need to convert this to paper size. So 7.5 feet equals how many inches? It comes to 0.15 inches because we take that value and we divide it by 50 because that's the current drawing scale. The layer of that is C prop text. We also have a circle, so let's take a look at the circle. It's also on layer C prop text, and I'll bring up properties and see that the diameter of that circle is 25 feet, or again, converted to paper units is going to be 0.5 inches. So remember 0.5 and 0.15. All right, let's create the label. I've already got the tool space open and I'm on the settings tab, and I've drilled down beneath parcel and then label styles, and then area, and I'm going to right-click area and pick new. I'll call this style lot number with circle, and I'll start on the general tab because here is where I can set the text style and layer for my label. So remember, my text style is Arial, and my layer is C prop text. All right, so far so good. Next we go to the Layout tab, and we need to create one or more components to represent the different parts of the label. By default, it already created one called Area. If I'm happy with that name, I can keep it, but actually that's not correct. I want it to say lot number. And now I need to set the contents of that component. So I'll go to the Contents cell, click the little ellipsis, and by default it's filled that in with some information. I don't want any of that. I'm just going to delete it. And then I'll go to my Properties drop down here, and here are all the different properties available for a parcel, and I'll choose parcel number. I can do some configuration if it applies, but in this case it's pretty simple. It's just a straight up number, an integer. So I'll click the arrow and push the code for that property into the content window. Click OK, and now we can see in the preview that we've got that number listed. Remember, our text height is 0.15, so I want to enter that value in. And the reason that you enter the paper height is because Civil 3D labels are dynamic. They look at the drawing scale and they automatically size themselves up to match the drawing scale. So if I were to enter 7.5 here, it would take 7.5 and multiply that by 50, and I would end up with a huge label. So I need to enter the paper sizes for these different components. So that takes care of the number. Now let's add the circle. I'm going to click the little drop down here and pick block. And instead of block 1, we'll just call this circle. For the block name, there happens to be a block already defined in here. It's called AECC tick circle. So I'm just going to use that one. And even though we're dealing with blocks, we really don't specify the scale, we specify the height. And Civil 3D will convert that into a scale. So remember, our diameter was 25 feet, but converted to paper units, it becomes 0.5 inches. So take 25, divide it by 50, and you get 0.5. Here we can see our preview once again, and everything looks pretty good and at the right proportion. So I'll click OK. And let's go ahead and apply this to one of the parcels. So I'll select a parcel, right-click, and pick Parcel Properties. And on the Composition tab, change the area label style to match the one that I just created. And that looks pretty darn close. In fact, just to give it a visual check, I'm going to move this over here, and it's pretty much an exact match. And that's what I'm going for. I want to match my company's design standards, what they like to do. How do they like to represent a lot number? So as you've seen, parcel area labels can be set up to utilize the labeling standards of your company or organization to properly represent the lot number, acreage, or other information that you want to display for the parcels in your drawing.